everyone, my name is Serena. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my October wrap-up. In the month of October, I have read 8 books. I have watched 3 movies and one TV show special, which was Savage Fenty, Rihanna's fashion show. I'm not going to talk about that, but I've watched it. And I've also watched 6 TV show seasons, but there were 3 different shows. First of all, I have read The Grim Grotto. As you may know, I have been reading these books all year, a book a month. I'm buddy reading them and I'm really enjoying them. I cannot talk about them because this is like the 11th book. I have to read this month, the 12th book, and then the last book in December, which is perfect. I'm concluding this year and this series at the same time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. It is set in underwater, like in a submarine, so a different setting. Another book that I read, which I have way more notes about, is White Rage by Carol Anderson. This is a nonfiction and it's all about white rage and what actually happened after slavery was abolished. It talks about, the years between the late 800s till present day. I don't want to make it like a full review, but let me just talk about it a little bit. After slavery was abolished, a lot of white people tried in many ways to prevent the growth of black communities in different ways. First of all, there were the black codes in the southern states, and there was this idea that state laws were more important than federal laws, and I think the president at the time was in favor of this. So the black codes were established, in which black people needed to work, and they had a minimum wage. Obviously they needed to work. If they didn't work, they were going to get arrested, and they were finding any excuse to arrest black people so they couldn't obtain citizenships. So even though technically they were not slaves, white people in the southern states tried to work their way around those laws to control the black community in some ways. They did not sell tickets, train tickets, bus tickets to black people that wanted to migrate towards the northern states, which were more, I guess, open-minded. Another way that they stopped the black communities from getting better is the segregation in education. As we all know, education helps a person, better their socioeconomic status. So white people in the South especially tried their best to avoid that. First of all, they separated the black kids from the white kids, and the segregation was seen as unconstitutional in public schools. So the Brown v. Board of Education was established, and white rage was insane that they shut down they closed schools, and the white kids went to private schools. They could go to private schools, unlike black people. After that, during the period of the civil rights movement with Reagan and Nixon, there was the war on drugs, and in this period people weren't openly racist like they were before, so they tried other ways to arrest more black people, and it was very intentional, this drug problem, one more reason to arrest them and have less voters. And that brings us to today's issue, which is voter suppression. I really enjoyed this book. I recommend. After that, the books that I read were all thrillers. As you may know, I read thrillers for the first time. I read 5 books. I did a vlog. I'm not going to talk about these books a lot because I already did a vlog about it. So if you are curious about my thoughts watch the vlog, I talk about them a lot. I have read The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, You by Caroline Kepnes, The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. I also read Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I think it's pronounced that way. And they were all, it was a success, honestly. They were all over 3 stars. So that was great. And the last book that I want to talk about is The Poet X, which is a 5-star book for me. It was amazing. It was a short read. It is written in verse. I have never read anything written in verse, and I think I'm going to read more in verse because it was amazing. It is about this girl who, it's about her being in high school, and she writes slam poetry, and she just writes about her family, her love life, her feelings, and all that. Her family is very religious. I did not like her mom at all. But I'm glad, you know, at the end they got along. The dad all of a sudden got along with her too. So that is great. But I was frustrated at times, which is great, you know, make me feel things. Xiomara was very mature for her age. I think she was 15 15 and then 16. And she was very mature for her age. Let's talk about the movies that I've watched. As I said, I watched 3. The first movie that I watched was The New Mutants, which is one of the first movies that came out after, you know, COVID. And I read that this movie was delayed, and people thought that it was never gonna come out, but it actually did. And it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. I think 2.5 stars, 3, because it was very forgettable. It felt rushed and choppy. I think it's inspired by the X-Men because the kids are mutants. We have Anya Taylor-Joy, Maisie Williams, who plays Arya Stark in Game of Thrones. And these kids are locked in a place that are trying to, you know, help them, I guess, control their powers. Yeah, it felt very choppy, because I think they were going to refilm it, but they didn't end up doing so. So they just put it out in theaters. Then I watched American Wedding, which I've been watching these movies because I never watched American Pie before, and they're just silly movies that I put on when I'm doing something else and I want, you know, to giggle a little bit. They're stupid, you know? I'm gonna give the same rating as The New Mutants, 2.5 stars. So nothing much to say, you know? It's about the 2 main characters getting married, and so there's the wedding preparation and all that. Lastly, I watched Gone Girl, which is the adaptation of the book that I read. I also talk about this in my vlog, and it was great. Honestly, I had already watched it. It was a rewatch, so 4 stars. Lastly, I'm gonna talk about the TV show seasons that I watched. The 3 shows. First of all, at the very beginning of the month, I have watched Shadowhunters season 2 and season 3. So I completed that show, and I watched it because I wasn't sure if I was gonna continue on with the books, because I have read City of Bones, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna continue on, and now I think maybe I will. Because at first, especially during season 2, I felt that it was very cringy and very cheesy. Wasn't kind of into it. But then season 3, I don't know, for some reason I find that season to be very entertaining. So I ended up enjoying it, so I'm gonna give it like 4 stars. Yeah, it was entertaining. I did not, you know, I wasn't mad at it. But I'm pretty sure, as anyone, you know, in the comments who has read the books would say, that the books are better. So maybe I will continue on. No rush. After that, I have finished 13 Reasons Why. I have watched season 2, 3, and 4. The second season felt like, you know, one of those crime movies, because it was set in a court. Hannah's parents were suing the school because they thought they didn't do a great job, you know, with Hannah, that ended up committing suicide. And every kid went to court and talk about, you know, what happened with Hannah. In season 3, it's more like a mystery because someone else dies and we have to figure out who did it. And then in the 4th season, it very much felt like horror. Like there was an episode in which they were in the woods and it felt a little bit scary. Clay goes through all the emotions, and in particular in season 4, episode 6 was the episode about the school shooting. I can't imagine being in that situation, and there were such a lot of, you know, social commentary happening because these type of things really happen in America. Honestly, if Clay were black, he would have been dead. I did not like Ani at all. And in season 4, there were a lot of gay characters. Loves to see it. And some of the relationships seemed very quick and random, but it was good. I'm gonna give it 4 stars as well. Season 4 seemed like it was going somewhere, but all of a sudden it interrupted and went another way. But let's talk about the last show, The Morning Show. This only has 1 season so far, and it stars Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, and I thought this show was great. I'm gonna give it like 4.5, and it's set in New York at, you know, a morning show studio, and there's drama because one of the main people in the show was accused of, you know, having sexual relationships with his co-workers. I recommend it. It is on Apple TV. And that is all the things that I've read and watched this last month. As usual, what was your favorite read and watch of October? Let me know down below, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!